We now know the final 7 of Survivor 50, and I want to quickly go through the remaining players and roughly where I think they fall in chances to win. There's 2 elements to this. One is how likely I think it is that they actually make it to the end, and the other element is if they're at the end, how likely is it that they win? There is one major confounding factor in this, where generally players in this season are going to be aware of where they fall in some of these categories, which can be enough to shake things up. But let's start with the player who I think has the lowest chance of winning this season, and that's Joe. I think there's a decent chance he makes it towards the end, but I don't think he has the ability to win in the finals against anyone else that's remaining on this season. He has had some good relationships over the course of the season, but all we've really heard about Joe throughout the season is how frustrating he can be to work with, even from some of his closest allies. I just don't see there being a final 3 where Joe is able to come on top, and I think in most situations he's a distant third. In 6th place, I'm putting Rizzo. I think there is a good chance that he makes it into the final 3, but he's another person where I don't see too many combinations of the final 3 where he ends up winning. Maybe if he makes a really big move to take out Cirie and ends up with someone like Joe. But the perception we seem to get of Rizzo from the other players in the game is that he's just kind of riding coattails right now. With Ozzy gone, Rick's idol played, and Cirie having played her extra vote, he's the only one that has an advantage, I think, right now. So there could be some movement with that. And really, I have come around on Rizzo this season. I didn't love him at first, but I think he is playing a pretty solid game, especially for someone who was going to be overlooked by the other players coming in. So I think his best chance comes in a final 3 with himself, Rick, and Joe, where he has made some big move to get rid of Cirie without making everyone bitter about it. I would still be bitter about it, though. And honestly, in that situation, I think I'd still favor Rick, which is why Rick is coming in at space number 5. Honestly, slots 2 through 5 don't have a huge amount of space between them. I think Rick is unlikely to make it to the final 3, but if he does, I think people will see that he's done a lot in the game, and he'll probably have to make some more moves in the interim to gain even more respect. There are some people that find him especially grating while they're in the game with him, but a lot of that seems to evaporate once they're on the jury. It's not like he rubs people the wrong way on a personal level, more on a frenetic gameplay level, other than Joe, who just seems to hate him. So if he does make it into the right final 3 combination, for example, the Rick, Rizzo, and Joe possibility I've already brought up, I think he does still have the possibility of a win in him. In number 4, right in the middle, I'm putting Aubrey. I think Aubrey has a better chance of making it to the final 3 than Rick, a lower chance than Rizzo or Joe, but if she does make it to the final 3, I think there are a lot of combinations where she could win. We've seen her working with a lot of people. I think she has a good relationship with almost everyone, and I think she has done enough that people still respect her. The biggest thing working against her in the finals is that she has been something of an underdog, and she wasn't the closest ally to a lot of the people that are going to be on the jury or are on the jury already. I think her best chance involves a final 3 with Rick and Joe. I think it's then a toss-up between her and Rick on who wins and how they get to the end really comes into play there. Replacing either of them with Rizzo is also another final 3 I think she could win, but that might be a situation where Rizzo has a shot as well. Well, I'm a much bigger fan of Aubrey than of Jonathan. Just thinking about who's on this season, who's on the jury, I think Jonathan has a much better shot of her of winning a final 3, and that is why I have Jonathan coming in over her at number 3. The weakening of the Cirie, Ozzy, and Rizzo alliance really does work in Jonathan's favor. I think he has a lot of paths to the finals, which are just added to by his own chances and challenges at this point. His biggest problem probably does come in at this final 7 tribal council, right on the back of him having so much power. There's probably going to be a lot of eyes on him, and I could see Cirie trying to push things in his direction. But he has strong relationships with a lot of people, both in the game still and on the jury, so there's a good chance he makes it to the end, and there's a lot of people he could beat that are still in the game. One of the people who I think beats him comes in at number 2, and that is Tiffany. Everyone seems to love Tiffany. I don't think there's anyone who wants to get her out of the game. Everyone in-game seems to want to work with her as much as they can, and everyone in the jury seems to like her as well. She's been very strong socially, she's been very strong in the challenges. The only question people are going to have when she gets to the end is, did she drive enough of the game? She's been involved in so many of the important decisions. She's been right beside Cirie when a lot of them get made on the hammock. But the question will be, who is she up against, and is she up against people who can take that credit away from her? Finally, of course, we have Cirie. Obviously, I'm biased, but I think everyone is biased towards Cirie, and that's one of the reasons she is going to win if she makes it to the end. Pre-game press showed Cirie with a huge target on her back, but she is in such a commanding position. That has been significantly weakened with Ozzy going out of the game, but that might help her in the short term. I think with everyone knowing that Cirie, Rizzo, and Ozzy, or especially Cirie and Ozzy, were so close, and Ozzy having an idol, that would make Cirie a huge target because you know you can't get out Ozzy, you know Ozzy and Cirie are going to the end together. And then you kind of have to take out Cirie in that situation if you don't think you can get rid of Ozzy with the idol, which apparently you can. Everyone on the jury loves Cirie. I don't think there's anyone that can beat her in a final three. It's just a question of, can she make it to that final three? There's 3 more votes where there's definitely going to be some eyes on her to get her out of the game, and then she either needs to win the final challenge, win the fire-making challenge, or get taken to the end, and that's a really tough position. But those are my power rankings so far. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you for watching.